Hello, everyone. I'd like to thank you very much for attending today's webinar, How to Get Everything You Want from Life and More. My name is Kat Amato, and I'm the Sales and Marketing Director at Cogno. Each month, we offer 2 free live webinar events, and I'm happy you were able to attend today. Cogno offers online training on many topics. Be sure to check out our website at cogno.com. And you can also email me directly with any training need that you might have, and I'll be happy to provide solutions for you. You can email me at info@cogno.com. Today's host is Libby Seery. And Libby, I hope I pronounced your name correctly there. Libby runs a very successful practice in London and is known as the 21st century counselor, and for good reason. She's a highly skilled professional with a wealth of information and experience, working with people from all walks of life in order to make profound and positive changes. Along with her client work, Libby also has a number of works published and has appeared on both TV and radio. She also writes and lectures in her subject, as well as trains other doctors and therapists in specialist fields of counseling and self-development. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Libby to begin the session, but just before I do so, I want to bring your attention to the right side of your screen, the GoToMeeting panel. At the bottom, there's a chat feature. You can definitely enter any questions that you have anytime throughout the seminar or the webinar onto the chat feature, and at the end of the webinar, Libby will be addressing these and answering them for you. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our host today, Libby. Thank you so much for joining us, Libby.
Hello, Kat.
How are you today, Libby?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have a lot of people in the session today, so we're all excited about what you have to share with us.
That's great to hear. Okay, well, first of all, hello everybody and welcome to the webinar today. Let's start by first of all understanding what are self-limiting beliefs. Okay, so beliefs are our own personal acceptance that something is real, that it exists, and that it is true. We have beliefs about ourselves, about other people, about the world, and about life in general. In fact, we form beliefs on just about everything. It is this belief system that we use as a guide by which we live our life. So powerful are these beliefs that we consider them to be facts and absolute truths. However, there is a fundamental flaw to this way of thinking, and that is that for the most part, our belief systems are not based on fact or absolute truth. The reality of our beliefs are that they are no more than mere assumptions, ideals, or our own personal opinions. They are not supported by solid evidence, they're not backed up by proof or knowledge, and can even be irrational. In fact, you can learn more about irrational beliefs and how they affect us in the CBT course that I have with Cogno also. Okay, so what makes these beliefs self-limiting? Well, we can refer to them as being self-limiting beliefs when they prevent us from moving forward in our lives. Self-limiting beliefs create personal hurdles that need never exist and actually serve no purpose other than preventing us from achieving all that we're capable of and all that we want for our life. So where do self-limiting beliefs come from? Self-limiting beliefs are created and adopted by us, starting as early as childhood. We can adopt these beliefs without any conscious awareness, agreeing to them without ever really questioning them. They're formed through our experiences and interactions with people and the world. They can be as a result of social, cultural and religious influences, as well as situations and events that have occurred throughout our lives. Often, limiting beliefs can stem from people that care for us the most, such as our parents and guardians. Let's take the example of a small child learning the alphabet, say. Naturally, and as a normal part of the learning process, we are likely to get a few letters mixed up. As a result, we may hear something as innocent as, "That's not right, silly Billy," or "You should know this by now." These words, of course, are not meant to be harmful to us and may even be viewed as being somewhat endearing. But nevertheless, we take this information on as being the truth, and so from a very early age, we start the seed of doubt about our academic abilities. Over time, our own personal experiences may repeat these scenarios and as such reinforce these beliefs. Many of our thoughts and views are formed from experiences we have had from when we were young. In fact, they can even be formed by other people's experiences, and we just choose to inherit them without investigating their truth first. By repeating these thoughts over and over, they eventually become part of our belief and therefore our reality. With limiting beliefs, we adopt limiting behaviours. When our beliefs, perceptions, or experiences are limited, so then are our beliefs of what is truly possible. It matters not whether our beliefs are false and have no evidence. If we believe them to be true, then they will impact accordingly on our lives. The more limiting our beliefs, the less powerful we feel. Okay, so let's move on to having a look at some of the most common self-limiting beliefs. Of course, these will vary from one person to another, but most of us will be able to identify with at least some of them. So, things such as telling ourselves we're not smart enough, telling ourselves things like, "I'm too short, I'm too tall, too young, too old, not thin enough, not big enough," in order to safeguard ourselves from possible failure. We might also tell ourselves that we don't have the relevant experience, even if we do, so we stop ourselves from advancing in our career or going for our dream job. Talking negatively to ourselves, things like, "I couldn't possibly do that," "I lack formal education," "I don't have the confidence to do that," "I just don't have enough skills or talent," "I simply don't have what it takes to succeed," "I would fail for certain if I tried that," "I'm really stupid when it comes to things such as X, Y, or Z," "I make too many mistakes when I try something new." "Taking risks always turns out bad for me." "Successful people are just lucky." "I work very hard, isn't that enough?" "I'm a failure. I'm a really slow learner." "Far too many people are smarter than me." "My parents didn't do enough for me or my partner isn't supportive enough. If only I were A, B or C, I would be able to achieve X, Y or Z. As you can see, the list is absolutely endless, and more often than not, we think and believe something similar to the above, day in and day out, and accept it as being the norm. But it doesn't have to be, and you can change this starting today. How do self-limiting beliefs affect our lives? Certain beliefs prevent us from ever living a full and truly happy life. Self-limiting beliefs may fill you with doubt, fear, and very often can lead to anxiety. As time goes by, these doubts and fears become further ingrained in our minds, leading us and encouraging us to justify them. Repeating negative thoughts about ourselves, leading to having negative feelings. Together, these thoughts and feelings consume us, ultimately controlling every aspect of our lives. And all the while, we're not even aware that this might be happening. Some limiting beliefs have the added effect of influencing other beliefs. For example, a common belief of not being good enough may also lead to thoughts of I'm stupid, I have no talents, or things like I'm useless. This negative self-talk is only serving to underpin your limiting belief system and keeps the negative cycle going. Here are some examples of just how limiting beliefs can affect our life. They can prevent us from ever trying anything or ever taking risks. They can give us a distorted perception of reality and prevent us from seeing the endless options that are available to us. Limiting beliefs obstruct personal growth, preventing us from ever moving forward and achieving all that we want and all that we are capable of. They can encourage procrastination. They can hinder us from fulfilling our dreams. And for some people, carrying around self-limiting beliefs can be a perfect excuse for us never to take responsibility for our life. But in reality, this just leaves us feeling negative, resentful, and a great discontent. Keeping limiting self-beliefs alive. Once we have adopted a belief, we will live our lives by the rule of that very belief. This is because we believe it to be the truth or to be a cold, hard fact. Over time, we reinforce our beliefs by continuously finding evidence that supports them. This is done in two ways. Firstly, because we are so focused on our beliefs and thoughts, our brains filter out all incoming information that supports them and filters out any information that doesn't. An example of this is how we are able to recognise our own name being called in a noisy, chaotic waiting room. Amongst all the distractions and noise, we still hear our name being called out, simply because we are so focused on it. Secondly, we reinforce our beliefs with negative self-talk. Self-talk are thoughts we have, such as, I'm no good at this sort of thing, I just knew this was going to happen, or I just know that I'm unable to do so and so. When combined, these two factors represent the limits of our ability. The stronger the belief, the more you will find evidence that supports it. So just why do we keep them going? The way we think has a huge impact on why we keep these self-limiting beliefs going. Thoughts such as, that's how it is, that's just the way things are, that's the way I am and everybody tells me so, I've always done that, I couldn't possibly change now. The reality of all of these thoughts are that they are just assumptions, and assumptions are something that we have decided to agree with. All we need to do here is to stop agreeing. It really is as easy as that. Now, ingrained beliefs, including habits and patterns, etc., may take a little more effort to change. Now, this is because they have been formed from our life experiences or someone that we know, and so that we can identify with them, but also because we are just so used to them. We believe they are characteristics of ourselves that help us to feel safe or help to keep us safe. How do we identify a self-limiting belief? A great way to identify a limiting belief is to simply ask yourself, if I could change anything about me, I would change ... Now examine this part of you very critically. Is this part of you really true? Or is this something that you have always believed about yourself? What actions can you take to either disprove or to change this aspect of you? Make a list of some of your most obvious limiting beliefs and challenge each one of them. For any of the beliefs that may be a little more ambiguous, rewrite them so that they are more pinpointed. For example, simply putting, my life is terrible, could become, actually, life at home is really happy for me. In fact, pretty much every aspect of my life I'm okay with, apart from how I feel about my job. So really, in this instance, the only thing you really do feel terrible about is your current job. We are so very much in the habit of being willing to give things a global rating, and by that I mean sum up things as a whole. Feeling unhappy in your job is just a part of what is happening in your life right now and isn't the whole of you. This is what I call catastrophizing or awfulizing. Again, this is covered in more detail in my CBT course for those of you who might be interested in exploring this further. So, now ask yourself how each of your statements are limiting you and why you believe it. What is the supporting evidence for this statement? Why do you feel the need to believe this? Remember, you and only you are the one maintaining this belief. So, how do we overcome self-limiting beliefs? The reason beliefs may be difficult to change is simply because we identify with them. We believe them to be part of who we are, and we choose for them to define us and to define our future. However, These beliefs do not define us, so we need to stop identifying with them. You may think that you are not creative, that you just wasn't born with that ability. But this is simply another of those beliefs which go towards defining you and making choices on your behalf. Just simply stop identifying with a belief or stop defining yourself based upon what you believe. Whatever certainties you think you have, get in the habit of questioning them. Start to think of yourself as a detective in the pursuit of truth. These thoughts are a lot more negotiable than we might imagine. Test your assumptions. You will never move on from a limiting belief if you don't take action that tests your assumptions. An action must be taken to break the pattern of a limiting belief. That's really important, so I'm going to repeat that again. An action must be taken in order to break the pattern of a limiting belief. If you don't think differently, you won't do anything differently. And not doing something different is what's keeping you from moving forward and realizing your full potential. Instead, you're like a hamster on a wheel, continuously treading water and never advancing, never exploring what's on the other side of the door. Next, we're going to move on to a very quick exercise. So if you want to join in, just grab a pen and paper and we can begin. So this exercise is pretty straightforward, but it will help you in challenging a specific limiting belief. First of all, write down a belief you have that prevents you from performing at your best. For example, I'm going to use the belief that I can't write very well. Now, this isn't proof that I can't write very well, it is merely my belief of it. Choose something that is personal to you. It can be really anything at all. Number 2, write down what your self-talk is that reinforces your belief. Using the example that I'm staying with of I can't write very well, my self-talk might include things like, I'm an awful writer. I just hate reading anything I've wrote. Number 3, give some details about the level of discomfort that this places you in. For example, having to write makes me anxious, so much so that I exclude writing from my list of skills. Number 4, now write down the antithesis of your belief. For example, I am a great writer and I love to write. Number 5, write down your self-talk that reinforces your new positive belief. So, staying with the example, for me, this would be something like, writing is something that I do very well. Number 6, give some details about the new comfort zone that your new positive belief could afford you. For example, for me, this might be, I list writing as one of my skills and offer to do any writing at every available opportunity. Number 7, describe what it is like having this new belief. For example, I feel excited and no longer anxious whenever the subject of writing comes up. Number 8. Give details about how you picture yourself behaving with your new belief. For example, I imagine myself writing an article that someone has specifically asked me to do for them. Number 9. Embrace your new belief. Everything you do, recognize and act with your new belief in mind. Live with your new belief. And lastly, number 10, write down an affirmation that supports your new belief and repeat it many times out loud. An affirmation is a positive statement of what you can do. For example, I am a great writer and in much demand. Okay, so we're going to move on to the second exercise. As before, if you'd like to join in, just grab a pen and paper. So, for the first stage, write down your most debilitating belief. And by this, I mean the belief that holds you back the most and prevents you from getting what you want, or prevents you from trying to get what you want. I'm just going to give you a moment there just to think about it. Okay, so number 2, ask yourself, why do you have this belief? Keep asking yourself this question over and over again until you answer it in full. Write down as many answers as possible, regardless of how minor you think they are. What evidence do you have against this belief? There will be something that has happened in your life which proves that this belief is not true. So be sure to dig deep. If you can't find one, ask someone close to you. Chances are they will have a whole host of reasons to share with you that confirm that your belief just isn't true. Number 4, write down all the areas of your life that as a result of holding on to this belief, it is in some way holding you back. Number 5, how do you feel emotionally knowing that you have missed out in certain areas of your life? It is really important to acknowledge your feelings, as this is your motivation for change. Number 6, ask yourself, if you didn't have this belief, how would your life be different? Close your eyes and imagine all of the ways in which your life would change for the better. Number 7, what is the worst outcome that breaking your belief could cause you? For example, being rejected, humiliated, or not being liked. Number 8, then ask yourself, what is the best thing that could happen? If you were to go against your belief and everything went right for you. Number 9, despite the uncertainties, how comfortable would you be taking a chance? It is worth noting that everything we do carries a certain amount of risk. Ask yourself, what risk are you prepared to take in order to make your dreams a reality? Number 10, how are your beliefs impacting on your past and current relationships? Number 11, what is your greatest goal that you would like to achieve? Number 12, if you were to remove this belief, do you imagine you could ever achieve your goal? Now, some of you may be thinking, what if you do have reasons that give your beliefs some validity? Well, if you do have evidence, what can you do about it? There will always be solutions to problems and situations. For example, if you conclude that it's a formal qualification that's holding you back, then simply make a decision to do something about it. That might involve going back to school or taking an extra training course. Find out what it is that limits you and then find the appropriate solution. Okay, if everybody's okay, would you like to take a break now?
Okay, certainly we'll take just 1 minute break, allow you to get a cup of tea. So thank you so much, Libby. Thank you everyone again for attending today's webinar. We're only able to cover a portion of the content that Libby has available. However, we'll be extending a 30% discount to you so that if you choose, you can purchase any of Libby's 3 courses in their entirety. And we also have an extra free gift to provide each of you who have attended today's webinar. The Training Simplified package is a $2,500 value. This includes 10 free courses of your choice, a free training platform that's branded for you, and the ability to upload your own internal training directly into the training platform so that you can distribute this to your staff and use it for your internal training portal. I'll be emailing everyone the information about the webinar, or after the webinar, excuse me. So be sure to take advantage of this completely free gift. So Libby, I'll go ahead and turn it back to you for the conclusion of the webinar.
Thank you, Kat. Okay, welcome back everybody. Okay, so moving on, I like to get in the habit of really being conscious of how amazing we are. So, really, if you're in any doubt of how amazing you are, just read a little on the biology of us humans and it blows your mind simply. We are incredible and we don't even give so much as a nod to the endless achievements of our bodies working hard to keep us breathing and our hearts beating. Think about all of the amazing things that you've ever achieved. There will be absolute heaps of these, and what happens generally is that we choose to filter out and not regard them. So a few years ago, I decided to make a list of all of the things that I achieved, either incidentally, intentionally, or because my survival depended on it at the time. Actually, this is not uncommon, as many of us will have encountered something whereby our survival was threatened, either through illness or circumstance, and yet we tend to brush over these. We can learn a lot from these experiences. We can draw from these experiences that good and positive things do and can happen to us when we don't pollute ourselves with self-doubt or negative thinking. When I personally need a moment of reassurance, I read my list of achievements, and it is truly an inspiring read based on me and the endless possibilities I'm capable of. I always make time to add to the list. Be it big or small, it all counts. And if you need help in getting going, ask those closest to you what they admire in you and what inspires them just being around you. So other things that can help you, really. Try starting a vision board. Now, vision boards work so well. In fact, they're often used when training world-class athletes, and in fact, a lot of people that I work with use them in boardrooms and certainly, when training staff and wanting to inspire people. A vision board creates a sacred space for you to display what you really want, and it brings that to life. What we focus on expands. When you create a vision board and place it in a space where you can see it every day, essentially you end up doing short visualization exercises throughout your day. If you're struggling still with reasons to believe that you can do anything, ask yourself, what would you tell your child if he or she came to you and said, I want to be the president? We would never reply to them by saying, oh, don't be silly, it's never going to happen to you. We would encourage them, we'd be enthusiastic, we'd guide them to what they need to do in order to achieve that goal. Now, have a healthy perspective and outlook on life. Try to keep the company of people that you admire and aspire to be. If someone you think is particularly successful or seems happy in an area that you'd like to be, talk to them about their experience of it. Don't be embarrassed. Try to surround yourself with positive energy. Now, this is particularly important because if you're drowning in negativity or negative energy, you won't even notice opportunities, even if they've landed in your lap. So it's important to sort of rid yourself of any negative energy. Okay, we're going to do our last final exercise. And let me just get that up. So, okay. From this list, choose a statement that you can identify with. When choosing, pick one that isn't actually true. By this, I mean pick a statement where you have evidence against it, either through something you did or something that happened through someone else. For example, a belief that all good-looking men are unfaithful, and this has been proven to be untrue because my husband is good-looking and he is also faithful. By doing this, you are recognizing that there are flaws in this belief. Another example could come from the belief, nobody likes me. Then think of a person that you know who really does like you. Number two, think of a time that this belief has worked against you. Did this stop you from taking action to attain something you wanted? Or maybe affected you emotionally, or perhaps affecting other areas of your life? Being hurt emotionally can be a very big motivator. Change happens when we take action. Again, I'm going to repeat that because it's really important. Change happens when we take action. By doing this, you are recognizing the need to change this belief. You are looking for motivation to take action and make a change. Number 3, find the source of your belief. Explore past memories from early childhood through to the present time. What brought you to your belief, your opinion, or your conclusion? Was it an incident or a set of incidents? Write down as much as you can to reveal the source. You may find it useful to close your eyes and repeat your belief out loud. This can help to trigger the emotions and assist in locating incidents that may have contributed to the formation of your belief. Number 4, give your source an alternative meaning. It is most likely that this was how you interpreted the event or situation, and as such attached your meaning to it. Nothing has any meaning unless we give it one. The only power we give to any external event or situation is the power we allow it to have over us. We are free to choose the meaning we wish to give to any external event. Now, try and think of alternative perspectives that could also explain the external events that you have identified as being the source of your belief. Once you have an alternative perspective, review the event or situation with this new perspective and see that you are now free to choose an alternative meaning. Lastly, some inspiring words on overcoming self-limiting beliefs. Don't ever say to yourself, I will try to achieve that. Always be conscious to say to yourself, I will achieve that. Imagine that you've already wrote the future and that the future is yours. And tell yourself this. If you think you can, you can. And if you think you can't, you can't. So often I use that with clients and it's just so true. It's just so true. And just finding failure is something we should never fear, simply because without failure, we couldn't measure successes. And a single positive change can make all the difference in your life. So take nothing else from the webinar today. Just tell yourself that just a single small positive change can be the start of something very, very big in your life. Okay, everyone. Well, that concludes the webinar. I'd just like to say thank you all for joining me today, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, Libby. Let's just give a few minutes just in case anyone has any questions that they wanted to ask. So this is your opportunity to ask Libby anything that you wanted to regarding the topic covered today. You can enter your questions on the right-hand side of your screen. There should be the GoToMeeting control panel. Toward the bottom, there's a chat feature, and you can just enter your questions right in there now, and we'll go ahead and address those. In the meantime, as I'm waiting for the first question to pop in, I do want to remind you I'm going to be sending a discount code for Libby's 3 courses that she has available on Cogno.com. And additionally, we are recording this event, and this will be posted on Cogno's YouTube channel. This should be completed, I'm hoping, by today, if at all possible, but at the outermost by the end of the week. So I will be sending the link to everybody, as well as the discount code and the slide deck as well. Libby, I do have the first question that has come in, and the question is, what are the most common self-limiting beliefs?
Okay, Kat, that's a very good question. It's something that yeah, I get asked a lot, really. Actually, although we do fear failure, we can also fear success. Strange as though that may sound, we also fear that we don't deserve success, or that we're not worthy of it. Other common ones include that we don't deserve to be loved, or we fear rejection, humiliation, and that we're simply not good enough to achieve what we want. So I would say that's among the sort of the most common, but of course it varies from person to person, and yeah, it can be a great very many things, really.
Okay, and I have
So
another
yeah,
question.
that's the
Okay, great. I have another question that followed straight away after, and that's, what's the easiest thing or way that I can do to change the negative beliefs that I have?
Right, the first thing that I would do is start straight away. Get a pen and paper. I always do that. I've always got lists on the go. Start making a list of everything that's brilliant about you, all the brilliant things that you've done, even as a child. As I said, if you get stuck, ask people that know you best, ask those around you, and you'll be inundated with just how amazing you are. When you need an extra hand, or if you're sort of moments where you feel that you need some reassurance, or that you're feeling a bit down on yourself, shall we say, and we all have those moments, just submerge yourself in the list of just how great you are, really, and don't be afraid. I always add to my list. Everything that I do, I add to my list. And as I said, sometimes it's things that we don't even set out to do. We just realise that something happened, and we take it for granted. But as much as we can include about ourselves, it really does. Big or small, it all helps.
Okay, great. And another question, Libby, is, what is the difference between a reality that I'm just not truly gifted at something versus a self-limiting belief? How do I know the difference?
Well, the difference would be having some evidence, some hard-hitting facts that support one from the other. So you need to sort of turn detective on yourself, really, and start critically about, just asking yourself questions. Well, how do I know this is true? How do I know that I've got any talents? What is there to prove this? What is there to disprove this? And think of it as a cult. Think of it that you're literally you're going to get to the bottom of it by putting yourself on trial as to what evidence supports this, what I'm believing to be my truth. And as I said, if you're in any doubt, ask people who know you best. Sometimes that's really, really helpful to surround yourself with people who know you best, and they can very often be entirely objective about it and say, well, actually, no, that's not true. You're extremely talented at XYZ. So yeah, I'd say turn detective on yourself, and really, really, battle it out, and if need be, write it down, pros and cons of why you would believe that. So turn detective on yourself.
I like that phrase. And another question for you, Libby, is, in my experiences, my own self-limiting beliefs are often felt in the pit of my stomach. How do I stop making myself feel that way? And what do I say to others who tell me that I'm too self-involved?
Okay, my response to that is stop listening to people who say that you're too self-involved. And what I would really like to know, it's a shame because we're running out of time, but to have just a little bit more background on that question. And I'd be really happy, Kat, I know we're up against it, but if that person wants to speak with me after, I'd be happy to chat with them privately. Because I've got a few questions to ask them about that, and we can really explore that in some detail. But as I mentioned earlier, it's really important to surround yourself with people who don't make you feel negative in some way or another. It's although sometimes we need to hear truths about things, if we're not doing things correctly, or we could improve in certain areas. But it's important to surround ourselves with people that inspire us and make us feel confident about who we are. But as I said, I'd be more than happy to answer some more questions. I know we're up against it, but if anybody wants to speak to me after, that would be just fine.
Okay, great. I'll go ahead and I'll send the person who submitted the question, I'll send that person your email address, and that way they can write to you directly.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to help them.
Okay, if there's any other questions that anyone else has, we're due to conclude the webinar at this time. But if you have another question, you wanted to pop it into the chat feature, go ahead. If you think of something later that we weren't able to cover today, feel free to email us, and we'll be happy to get your question over to Libby, and she'll be able to reply to you directly.
Absolutely. I've got the next few hours free, so I'm all yours, Kat. So please, anybody who wants to explore something further in detail, I'd be more than happy to get on that with them.
Great. All right. Well, that concludes today's webinar. Libby, thank you so much. This was very, very interesting and very helpful information. So thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you to everybody who joined us this afternoon or this morning, depending where you are in the world.
Definitely. I do want to thank everyone again for today's attending today's webinar. Look out for future invitations for webinars that we have scheduled. And also, be on the lookout for the email that I'll be sending to you after the webinar. This is going to include a discount code to all of Libby's courses. She has 3 titles on Cogno.com. So I'll include that. I'll also be sending everyone information about the free $2,500 training package called the Training Simplified package. So definitely take advantage of that. It's completely free. It gives your staff a bunch of courses and an opportunity for you to try Cogno's training platform yourself. And there's no obligation. Again, thank you so much, everyone, for attending today's event, and I look forward to seeing you all at the next Cogno webinar event. Thank you.
Thank you, Kat. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.